Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminolly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. As many of you will know, I'm on a 100-book challenge where I have pledged not to buy any new books until I have read 100 books I already own. But plot twist, today's video is a book haul video. So firstly, I need to say that all 5 of these books that I have next to me were acquired in a way that is completely compliant with the rules of the challenge. I didn't buy any of them, or at least I didn't pay for any of them. I'll get to that in a minute. So 5 books, 4 of which are probably of less interest to people here. So I'll do the one that's most interesting first. So this was sent to me by a publisher, so Head of Zeus, and it looks just fantastic. So it's called Ghost. It is 100, well, it advertises itself as 100 stories to read with the lights on, chosen by Louise Welsh, who I've got a book by Louise Welsh somewhere. I can't remember what it's called, but she's supposed to be a very good writer. Anyway, she's done this anthology of 100 ghost stories, beautifully presented here. I mean, the cover is just lovely. And interestingly, this is a, it looks like a hardcover, but it's not a hardcover. It's kind of a slightly soft cover. I don't know how you describe it. It's like a trade paperback, but it's halfway between being a hardcover and a paperback, I would have said. But yeah, this looks just phenomenal. So 100 stories, it's nearly 1,000 pages long, and there are such a wonderful range of authors in here, and it looks like she's selected stories from pretty much the whole of human history. So, I mean, the first story is by Pliny the Younger, but then you've got the Brothers Grimm, you've got Mary Shelley, Sir Walter Scott, Poe, Dickens, Wilkie Collins from that sort of period, Mark Twain, Sheridan Le Fanu, Dostoevsky, Bram Stoker, Henry James, Chekhov, Oscar Wilde, Rudyard Kipling, Robert Louis Stevenson, Jerome K. Jerome. So just a fantastic list of authors in this book. Got the pages stuck together somewhere. Hold on a second. But yeah, just like pages and pages. The index or contents page goes on 3 pages. Who else we got? M.R. James, H.G. Wells, Emile Zola, Virginia Woolf, P.G. Wodehouse. Just so many fantastic. And then if we get into kind of more modern times, so Tove Jansson, whom I'm a huge fan of, who created the Moomins, there's a ghost story from her in here. Muriel Spark, Truman Capote, Kazuo Ishiguro, Joyce Carol Oates, Hilary Mantel, who I'm reading Wolf Hall by her at the moment, Ben Okri, Michael Marshall Smith, Stephen King. So yeah, a fantastic selection of stories. I'm going to very much enjoy reading this. I think it will be one that I dip into rather than trying to read cover to cover in one go. But I think this looks really wonderful. There's a Lovecraft one as well. So yeah, beautifully presented. If you're looking for a Christmas gift for someone who you know likes ghost stories, I think this could definitely be a contender. Absolutely fantastic from Head of Zeus there. So this complies with my rules because I said I would still receive books to review from publishers and authors. So that's where this has come from. Now the other 4 books are books that I bought some time ago, a couple of years ago, but I've not had access to. So the company I work for has a thing where you can apply to get funding to buy things for your office to to improve the comfort and well-being and what have you of the colleagues you work with. So I decided to use that to buy some books that were kind of relevant for the kind of work we do. So I work in a team that delivers kind of agile change and software development and stuff like that. So basically, I applied for some funding to buy some business books, and I bought them. And had them in my desk drawer and was going to set up a kind of little library in the office so that people could borrow them and read them. And then guess what? COVID hit. And we all basically one weekend were told don't bother coming into the office anymore. And that was March 2020. and it's now December 2021, so I've not had access to these books for well over a year and a half. But I went into the office for the first time this week for a meeting, and managed to get to my desk, which was a bit like the Mirror Celeste really, it's just still there, and got into my desk and the books are in there. So let me go through these very quickly. Two of them look really interesting, and I think would have a broad appeal. Two of them look quite boring. So the first one then, so this one looks really good. So Weapons of Math Destruction by Cathy O'Neill, How Big Data Increases Inequality and Threatens Democracy. So this looks really fascinating, and I'm definitely looking forward to reading this. It's got some fantastic reviews on the back. A manual for the 21st century citizen, accessible, refreshingly critical, relevant and urgent. So this looks very good. And what I would say is, when I got this funding to buy these books, I went out to everyone I work with and said, have you got any recommendations of books that you think would be, people would find useful and interesting? And this, if I remember rightly, was one that was recommended by one of our data scientists. So this looks fantastic. And then this one is Factfulness by Hans Rosling, 10 Reasons We're Wrong About the World and Why Things Are Better Than You Think. So this again looks very good. So it's got a little blurb on the front from Barack Obama, a hopeful book about the potential for human progress when we work off facts rather than our inherent biases. So very much about using facts and data to inform policy and the things that we do. So again, this looks like a really interesting read, and definitely one I will dip into. The next two, I'll show you them because they are because it's part of the book haul, but I'm not convinced I'll read these. I have actually read one of them. So this one, Our Iceberg is Melting, is about kind of how to deal with change and succeed no matter what happens in your career or personal life. It's got some penguins on the front who are quite cute. I mean, to be fair, I've said it looks boring. It's supposed to be a very good book, and it's got great blurbs on the back, and some, it's very nicely presented, to be honest with you. So it's got illustrations. There's not too much text. So for a kind of businessy book, it does look like it's probably quite an easy read. So maybe I will dip into that one as well. And then lastly, the most boring academic looking one, Freedom from Command and Control by John Snedden, which I have actually read. So I read this not long before I did this, got this funding to buy the books, and it's all about, I don't even know how to describe what it's about. It's about how the structures of businesses and the public sector in particular stifle creativity and enforce bad habits rather than building people up for success. So it's a really interesting book, probably relevant for pretty much any area of business. So if you're in business, I would recommend reading it. It's quite well written. There's some videos of John Snedden speaking on YouTube which are very entertaining. He's quite a character. So maybe check those out, and if you like the look of those, you might want to read this book. So that was my mini, completely 100 Book Challenge compliant book haul. I do have a couple of other books which will be arriving with me before too long. So rather cunningly, I'm part of 2 bookish Secret Santas this year. So I always run a Secret Santa for as this kind of broad book group at work. So we've got like a internal internet at work where you can do kind of social things and that kind of thing, as well as worky stuff. So there's a book group on there that I run with colleagues or members across the whole company, and for the last 4 years I think I've organised a Secret Santa where people say that they'd like to receive a book. They might give a clue as to what sort of book it is, and in return they buy a book for somebody else, and the names get randomly drawn out of a hat and distributed. I'm expecting and I would say that this year I'm actually not running it because I just haven't had enough time with stuff I've got going on at work. So somebody else has stepped up and is doing it for me, which is very kind of them. But yeah, so I will be receiving one book through the post for that. So I don't know if I should show you the book that no, I'm not going to show you the book I bought the person I'm buying a gift for, just in case they watch this. Highly unlikely, but I wouldn't want to spoil it. Yes, I'm getting one through that, and then I also run a smaller kind of book group where we read a book each month, again with people who I either work with or have worked with, and we're doing a Secret Santa in that as well. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks I'll have another 2 books which I'll receive, which will be challenge compliant, because I will not have bought them, they will be given to me as gifts. And the fact that I'm also giving someone else a book as a gift is by the by. I didn't specifically say that Secret Santas were okay, but I'm now saying that they are. Anyway, as always, I hope you found that an amusing and interesting video. Let me know if you've read any of these 5 books that I've shown you. I suspect it's much more likely you've read some of the ghost stories than any of the other 4, but hey, who knows? Anyway, yeah, take care of yourselves, and I will speak to you again soon. Cheerio.